The Salem County Chamber of Commerce presents this workshop on artificial intelligence. Our presenters are Dr. Mike Gorman, President of Salem Community College, and Marc Roy, Salem Community College's Assistant Dean of Institutional Research and Planning. The Chamber's Business Education Committee appreciates our sponsors, Atlantic City Electric, PSEG Nuclear, Salem Community College, and the Delaware River and Bay Authority.
This is what AI might be to you.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to the outer limits.
Few people gray enough to remember what that was. Science fiction television program back in the 60s. And when we were talking about AI and the fear that goes with it, that was one of the things that we started thinking about is you're believing that the computer is going to control you now because of artificial intelligence and everything that it has. It has incredible capacity. It has a vehicle for directing, but you are still in charge. And that's one of the things we hope to accomplish today. What we hope to do, show you what AI is and what AI is not. Understand how you can inject AI into your particular business, some practical applications, particularly in the area of marketing, operations, customer service, we'll get into a little bit as well. Ethics related to AI. That could be a whole day in and of itself. Trying to do this on the cheap because nobody wants to spend inordinate amounts of money on technology when you don't have to. And trying to set forth some other post holes for you to pursue so that you start to use it. Let's lighten it up. How about Gaffigan?
Okay.
We live in this age of incredible medical and technological advancement. I know people are worried about artificial intelligence. AI's going to take over. AI's going to take over. I hope so. I'm exhausted. I feel like my intelligence has taken me as far as I'm going to get. I need artificial intelligence. I was reading this article, Will AI Take Over? I was halfway through before I realized it wasn't about a guy named Al. Will Al take over? I thought it was about Al Roker and his love of A1. Jim, that's a dumb joke.
That's where most of us really stand is, I hope this does take over something and makes my life a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more efficient, takes me to things that I might enjoy a little bit more. I will tell you, I don't know much of anything about AI. That's when half the room would get up and leave. The fact of the matter is, I have been using it. AI is here. It has been here for quite a while. You just didn't know it because you didn't have to know it. But it has been part of your life probably for at least the last decade,
At least the last decade, yeah.
And it's becoming increasingly so. We'll get into it in a little bit, but there are two reasons why I got selected to do this. And it was just in a meeting talking about me buying my truck. I went and fed, there were 4 trucks that I was looking at on Curridon's lot down in Pennsville. I needed to buy a new pickup truck. And I didn't need a new one. So I fed it into AI and I said, these are my priorities. These are the 4 vehicles. And it gave me the choices that I should be making and the reasons why. Okay? We'll get into a little bit more about that as well. This lesson plan, I went into AI and said, hey, we have to do 90 minutes on artificial intelligence for businesses with a special focus on small business for Salem County, a rural community in New Jersey. It spit out a very extensive lesson plan, which you're not going to see. Okay? The fact of the matter is it was a guide. It wasn't the gospel. It was a guide. And we're using it that way. I've used it. I do this document called State of the College every year. And if you really want to save time, don't bother reading it, because I do a presentation that's a lot more compressed on it. But it's about a 50 to 60 page document. Right, Maria, this time around? And it does get very deep into the weeds. But I went to AI and said, summarize the important points on this. Fed it in, and it comes back. And I said, well, can you make a PowerPoint out of that? It did. I didn't like the PowerPoint that it made, but it made me think about some things, so that re-governed how I was going to do the presentation for the board. AI, in lieu of surfing the net, going in and getting this whole array of things to pick, when you frame your question properly, and we'll get into that in a little bit, AI is what you can use rather than just surfing the net. It's much more efficient, and it'll be tailored to more of what your question was. We're looking at how many other applications can we invoke here on campus. Simplest one is for developing a syllabus for a course. Throw it into AI, let it develop the syllabus, do your editing, refocusing, and then you're ready to give it to students. Mark, you're playing around with this. What are the things you're dabbling with?
Well, I use it in a couple different ways right now. So I'm going through some coursework right now. So anytime I have a problem I have to tackle, I run it through AI first and see what kind of information I get out of it. We use it in the institutional research office for generating graphs and generating tables and kind of taking information and whittling it down to what's important. So we use it for image generation. We'll use it for digging through our emails. I mean, we've dabbled in quite a bunch of different ways. So.
And we're at the early stages, so don't think of us as experts on anything. Just look at us as users, and we're trying to become more proficient users. I don't know how this thing works. I was explaining Kim earlier that Little Mr. Smith, who I had for physics back in 12th grade at JFK High School in Willingboro, taught me the most valuable lesson of my life. I don't have to understand everything in back of whatever to be able to use it. I didn't understand those formulas that he was giving us for different things that we were doing in physics, but I could plug the numbers in and I could follow the lineage to it. I wasn't going to become a physicist, thank God, because I just wouldn't have made it. Just being able to use it is all we're hoping to accomplish today. There are several different vehicles out there. And according to AI, and we use Copilot here on campus because it is associated with our Outlook email, email.
It's our ecosystem. Yeah.
Ecosystem,
so
whatever you want to call it.
Microsoft Shop, yeah.
We use Outlook. A lot of you do, I'm sure. And Copilot comes with that, so it's an easy one for me to access. So I use it for a lot of things. I went to Copilot and said, okay, what are the different what are the different AI vehicles and what are they best for? And this is what it spit back to me. AI Assistant is ChatGPT. You have been using ChatGPT for several years now. When you go onto a website and they ask you, can we help you? And that little figure comes up in the corner, and then you ask it a question, and it goes different directions. And I don't know how many of you have felt like I did after going through that on a complaint that you wanted to file on something, and you want to grab a baseball bat and just kind of slam the keyboard a few times because that little gizmo is not asking you the right question or not responding to you. But those things are so much more sophisticated now than they were even 5 years ago. Productivity, the one that you like, Google Gemini.
Yeah, Gemini.
and that has a lot more flexibility to it. Creativity, Midjourney. I've never used Midjourney, but it is one of those vehicles that you can go to if you want to get graphics. Try Midjourney. For writing, and this is the one I don't like, Grammarly. Because I think there are liberties to be taken with the English language that Grammarly does not agree with me on. And I like to write a few of my own rules, and Grammarly does not really like you to write your own rules. So, you know, I do think that for most things, it's pretty good. For some of what I do, I detest it. Meeting notes and so forth, Otter AI. You also may see that when you go into Teams or Zoom, you can now select to have the minutes produced through AI. Just click that. Not everybody likes it because it's recording the meeting, and not everybody likes to be recorded. So make sure before you go that direction, everybody in your meeting says yes. If you have somebody that says no, you don't do it. You have to make your own notes out of it. For finance, Clio. I don't know if anybody's ever worked with Clio. I'm not familiar with that one at all, but that was the recommendation. And general use, which is me, Microsoft Copilot. When we say what is AI, the answer is?
It's a tool. It's so when Dr. Gorman said that, you know, he just needs to know how to use it, I'm the other side. So my background actually is in data science and mathematics and computer science. So I actually do know how it works and know how it works under the hood. So AI has been around for at least a decade, maybe a little longer. We called it machine learning back then. Mathematicians would create advanced formulas because that's what AI is. AI is probability and statistics. It's and everybody hates that course, but that's how the machine kind of knows what you're talking about. So over the past decade, what's happened is it used to be that only advanced computers, supercomputers, could use it, and only like scientists and doctors would take these advanced algorithms and kind of figure out what was going on in the world. Because that's what AI does. AI really just takes a lot of information, a lot of data, looks at it, compares it, and using these advanced formulas, finds out what some kind of meaning outside of that. So about 3 or 4 years ago, a couple things happened, and this is why everybody's talking about AI now. Machines have gotten better, so our hardware has gotten better. They've kind of invented a new way of gathering information and storing information such that that information can be available really fast. So hardware's gotten better, software's gotten a little better to meet with that, and then they invented something called natural language processing, and that was really the key. So natural language processing means that when you talk to your AI, it evaluates what you're saying in real time and can figure out what you're talking about. And you don't even have to be all that accurate. You can ask it a question and it'll come up with something 100% based on the information that it has in its database. So when we talk about AI, we're talking about mathematics, we're talking about calculations, we're talking about a ton of data. And when I say tons of data, and we're talking like, you'll hear something called petabytes of data. So it's more data that can fit, like if you tried to write it all out, it would be like the entire solar system, that kind of thing. So what is not AI? So AI doesn't have feelings. AI doesn't inherently have bias. AI doesn't have any, it can't be creative. It can't replace the human in any way. So it's what we call derivative. Anything that comes out of AI, somewhere, somehow, the data calculations figure it out because somebody else did it before. So AI is a tool for us to use based on the information that's already out there. So it can't think for you, but what it can do is augment your thinking. The inventor of LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman, doesn't like the term artificial intelligence. He likes to call it intelligence augmentation. Because when you use AI, it really is enhancing what you want, what you're doing. So it will take something that you're looking for, come out with a product, and you still have to evaluate that product. You still have to put your own creativity in that product, and you still have to make it human. So AI is not human. AI is not going to replace people, but it will make what we do more productive.
I was hoping it would replace a few people.
Well,
You know, I
it
get
might
to
replace,
choose, but
it might replace some jobs, but it won't replace people.
one of the things that Marc did not add in there, AI is not perfect.
No.
You have to examine what is the result. One of the things that I always got upset with, I was a school principal for 15 years. Candace remembers because I was her principal at one time.
My principal.
I signed his diploma
Yeah.
only a few days ago, you know. But the fact of the matter is that as you go through these things, there's a reasonableness of an answer. And when we started using calculators in class, the math teachers were all upset. You know, the students are not going to know number facts and things are not going to go well. Well, what really was the issue, we didn't teach reasonableness of an answer as we started to use calculators. When you hit 2 times 2 and it comes out 7, you made a mistake somewhere because there's a reasonableness of an answer. You know that it can't be what it came out to be. With AI, same rule applies. There is a reasonableness of an answer that you have to look at. We've looked it up before, if you throw my name in, it tells you I am the retired president or something like
Well,
that.
it depends on, I've had a couple times, it will tell you you're the former president
Yeah.
of Salem Community College.
They're still paying me, folks, so, you know, but it is not perfect, and that's one of the warnings that we want coming out of here today. You can't just take an AI product and submit it and say, I'm done. You have to go over it. You have to know what your expectations were. You have to have an idea of what would be a reasonable outcome for this. Not to say you're not going to use the information it passes on to you. You will. But there is that sense of you have an idea of direction, which lends to bias, which is something we're going to get into in a little while. A couple of examples here, if you would inject. I don't care which vehicle you use.
We'll do Copilot. All right.
Okay, Daniel Tompkins, Vice President. How many people have seen Miracle on 34th Street?
All right. And I spelled it wrong.
Who was he and what did he do? If you remember Miracle on 34th Street, when Kris Kringle was being told that he'd have to take this mental acuity exam, he said, oh yeah, they're going to ask me to do this, and then I'm going to ask me to count my fingers and all that. And as he's leaving the room, he said, I bet your Dr. whoever was the psychologist, doesn't know about Daniel Tompkins, who was the Vice President of the United States under James Monroe. Here's a factoid that nobody really cares about. If you take that out of here, you're wasting a few brain cells. The truth of the matter is, though, all we did is throw in Daniel Tompkins. It gave us a couple of questions that tell us, okay, focus what you're doing. Goes into what the man was before he became vice president. What is really unique about this, that you really don't care about, is that Monroe was the president at that time. 3 of the 4 first presidents were from Virginia. Tompkins came from New York. New York was liked even less than Virginia was at the end of the Monroe's term. So we get into a whole bunch of other stuff. But here was a very insignificant factoid that brought it up. How about list the NASA Apollo flights and who served on the crew? It's thinking, and there we go. And I could have asked it to present it in a graph. I could have asked it to present it in a narrative. But there you go. We keep going down. And how many Apollo flights were there? 17 or 16? Apollo 17 was the last one. Okay, that information is readily available. Now, how you want to present it, you dump that into a graph, or you want just certain ones pulled out. You just have to tell it what you want. 250-word essay on the primary causes of World War II between Japan and the USA. There's my essay. I could have done this in 1,000 words, could have done it in 2,000 words, could have done it in 50 words or less, kind of a thing. But this is just a capsule of what you can get out of this. If you were to go into the internet and ask that same question, it's going to take you to a number of different sites. You're going to have to coalesce that information. Now, this still warrants you reading it and making sure that the facts coordinate with your knowledge base, or you may want to go and verify. You can take this essay out, put it into another AI vehicle, say ChatGPT, and just say, check this for accuracy. And it will go through and it will tell you there are different aspects of it that maybe were factual, maybe not, or editorial licensure. By the way, all this surrounds oil. When you get down to it, it was all about oil and our embargo of oil on Japanese because of what they were doing in China at the time. I'm simplifying it. I loved when I was able to teach history, but the fact of the matter is AI can get you to this rather quickly. Okay, here's the personal one we're going to go to.
Okay.
I love motorcycles. Okay, I have had several Harley Davidsons in my career. Had a few Hondas as well, one Suzuki. But last summer I decided, I'm at that stage of life where time to buy my last new motorcycle. And I went up to, I was looking on the website of Barb's Harley Davidson, give them a plug because they're good people. And there were a few bikes there. So I fed into it. This is where precision in language makes a big difference in what you do with AI. I wanted to know about which cycle was going to be best for me. As I'm getting older, I'm thinking, okay, there might be some things I want to look at on a motorcycle that I wasn't looking at before. I'm not one of those guys that goes out and does the wheelies and spins out and all that kind of stuff. When I get out there and want to ride, I like to go for 1,000 miles if I can. But I've traveled 39 of the lower 48 right now on two wheels. Still hoping to get to a few more. They're all out west, so it takes a while to get there. But I said, okay, if I'm going to close out this chapter of my life, I want to be able to do it on the bike that's going to be best for me. So I plugged it in, compare and contrast the advantages and disadvantages of a 2025 Harley Davidson Heritage Classic versus Harley Davidson Electra Glide for a 73-year-old, 6'1", 200-pound solo rider. That's as specific as I could get. I could have thrown in there that I like to travel long distances and so forth, but didn't. What did it give us?
Ergonomic and comfort.
Okay. See how it broke it down into, okay, ergonomics, comfort, then power and performance. Is there anything below that?
Yep. Feature and convenience.
It's giving me all the information that I want to, and now I have to make a judgment on this.
Well, it'll give you a judgment, but you have to.
Yeah, at the end, I'm the one writing the check, not AI.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get what I want. Okay, best overall choice was the 2025 Heritage Classic. That's the one that I ended up buying, not because AI said it, but AI gave me the information to look at the various aspects of it that would be most advantageous for me. I use this thing at least a dozen times a day to look up information or to refine something or to take me to another page that I should be reviewing. Mark, you have more practical business applications that you're working with. I'm playing with this, right? This is fun to do. That may be your start point for AI. Is okay. I want to start an exercise routine. What do I do? Well, you can go and read 3 or 4 different articles. You can go in and tap into this, where you can say, I have a goal of reaching this level of fitness where I can walk a mile in 9 minutes. I can lift 140 pounds, deadlift. You can specify what you want to be, and it will tell you, okay, I want to do this over a span of 6 months. It will then lay out a program of exercise for you to build to that point. Again, don't take it as gospel, take it as guidance.
Dr. Gorman and the college uses Copilot pretty regularly. I prefer Gemini. It's really just a matter of choice, depending on some, like for me, I like the way it presents its sources. So I'm going to do a couple of examples in Gemini that hopefully would be applicable to you. So the first one I was kind of thinking of is, and the reason I picked Gemini was you can use it to access your own information. So far what we've been doing, and Dr. Gorman showed, is he kind of reaches out to the web and goes, okay, give me some information, and it comes back. But when you're using it for business, you're going to be using your information, and we'll get into some privacy issues and some kind of nuances about that in a little bit. But just to show some of the examples, I'm going to use, now my email has that, I use Gemini. I'm going to connect it to my Gmail account. I use Gmail for like a couple stupid things. But I do use some purchases. So I can ask Gemini just to simply give me a graph of my purchases. It's probably, I tested this earlier, so I'm hoping it doesn't actually remember. It's going to give me, they would need access to my purchase data. So when I first typed it in, it wasn't specific enough. And this is where that being very specific and giving it access to certain information. So I'm going to tell it, look at my email. And because it's Gemini and I'm logged in with my Google account, it's going to know I'm talking about my Gmail account. So it gave me kind of a breakdown of what I've been spending my money on: dining and food, entertainment, home decor, clothing. You can use this tool, like I said, okay, purchases. But you could also say, if you have orders coming in, you have an online presence and you have orders coming into your business, you could say, give me a graph of the orders that I'm getting by category, if that works, or by product, or by location. So there's a lot of little nuances you can, but the key is you have to give it access to your information.
How do you give it access to your
Give me a
information?
chart. Well, in this case, I logged into Google. Copilot, it's a little bit, so Microsoft is a little bit more tricky. In fact, I'm not even 100% sure how to get all your access to it. So because we're so tied down here.
We
that
have very
could, yeah.
significant security systems here.
There it goes. And you could tweak that chart. You could say, well, I want a bar graph, and it'll just change it. So that's one way of using it in more of a business sense. Now, I talked about the technology earlier, how we're doing this in near real time. The amount of data it's kind of crunching didn't actually give me what I was hoping for. That happens sometimes. Yeah, I thought it would have done that. You can keep trying, like if I refreshed it, but I'm not going to stick on this because where I saw it do, oh, there it is. That was actually what I was looking for, a bar graph there. Okay, so let me go to.
I think you've got too much food. You got to cut back on the food. That's my first judgment.
Yeah, based on that. Well, that's what I spend using this account. Apparently, it's food. Honestly, it's probably like DoorDash through my kids.
Hey, Mark, is
Yeah.
that like the free Gemini? I saw it said upgrade in the corner. Is that a paid service?
Yes, this is the free version. Yeah, I didn't pay for Gemini. Now, Copilot, the college does pay for.
Yeah.
So Copilot I believe there is some free version of it. We use the paid version of it.
And if you are in the free version, understand that your information is available
Yes.
out in the
Which
world.
I was gonna get.
Not necessarily you as an individual always coming back to you with an ad for whatever, but the data that you are pouring in is being poured into this mega base, whereas when you are with the private ones, or if you're the for pay ones, your information is supposed to be private and exclusive to your account. That doesn't mean they won't use it for analysis, but you won't get a flood of ads because you looked up carpeting and all of a sudden you get everybody and his brother who sells carpeting sending ads to your account.
So I'm going to ask you to design a marketing plan. Local bank,
Locally owned
locally owned
bank.
Okay. Now, again, like I said earlier, this is not creative. This is taking information that exists already out there, and you saw how quick that came back. Gave you an executive summary of what that plan would look like. Said,
Hold right there for a second.
sure.
Okay? This market analysis, that's going to be vital to what you're doing as a business plan. The fact that it kicked it out now, you could go back in and say, okay, what percentage of families, young families, are looking for a mortgage in Salem County? I probably would have said seeking rather than looking for, because as a former English teacher, the syntax stinks. But that's all
You
right.
know what? I'm going to stay looking, though, and see what it comes up with, because I'm not a former English teacher.
In Salem County.
Now, I am going to be specific here
NJ.
and say New Jersey. So, and this happens.
Yep.
No publicly available data. So this is where you could add, if you have data, if you have some kind of banking data, you can add that to this. You could tell it to look beyond Salem County. So,
And it can do an estimate for you.
you notice I didn't have to type in the whole question again. It will just kind of understand.
Okay,
So it's 20%.
20%
Yeah.
of young adults plan to buy a home in the next year. That's a pretty significant number. If I'm in the banking business, okay, got to start looking at that. Now, if I were going to pursue this more deeply, first-time home buyers, because there are programs to assist on that, median age of first-time home buyers. I would bet that this is probably the highest it's been in 20 or 30 years at least. Okay, but now what do I want to do in my business model? If I'm looking at this, what can differentiate my enterprise in pursuing this mortgage market? Because 20% is a pretty big number. What do I do to try and bring that into focus on the business plan? And we can, honestly, you get lost in this and just keep going and going and going. We're not going to get too tied into that right now, but this is your vital factor. You have just found the piece of information that you want from the question I asked. Okay, we asked for a business plan. It gave us some things that then took us to mortgages. Mortgages are a big part of the banking world for us as citizens. I don't know what part of the banking industry mortgages really cover, but I'd imagine it's a major part of the enterprise. So pursuing this and, okay, drill down on the questions that you want to have related to that. So you can get to a much more specific and tangible approach to what you want to do. It's not going to answer a question you don't ask. Got to make sure that your language is precise enough to take you to where you want to go. Want to do a visual?
Sure.
How about we ask it to do a logo for Salem Community College, Alex the Acorn. That is our mascot, by the way. So it should pull this up fairly fast.
I can't spell.
Let's back that up. Let's put a football helmet and a logo for Salem Community College. The Copilot is not the fastest on this one, but
Wow. So
it's not bad.
image generation, I think Chat GPT was supposedly the better of the
Yeah.
bunch. The three bigs are ChatGPT, Copilot, and Gemini.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other ones out there and they're all growing. We're at the dawn of the AI age. So just like beta versus VHS, we're not sure which one's going to survive. And there's maybe one. I think Amazon's creating one now. So
Does anybody in the room remember beta versus
There's a few people.
VHS? Yeah. Yes, Mr. Reese certainly does.
interesting. It looks like
Okay, now, what is this giving us that we didn't count on? You
Yeah.
got it. Okay, so this is not correct. Looks pretty cool, but it's not correct. I like that. So again, don't accept what you have generated as being 100%. You got to verify. And I'm just looking at this, and I know we are not the Rams. We are the Mighty Oaks, and we use the Alex the Acorn as our logo. So we could go in and fix this. We're not going to waste time on it right now. But again, I love the fact this came out the way it did, and we have to go back and correct it. We have to re-ask the question in a manner that is going to be good for us. And I know we'll talk about football in a little while because we are going in that direction, and we've actually used AI to design uniforms or get some specs on what we wanted to do and so forth. How about some data?
Okay.
Data breakdown for you, even if you use ours.
I'm going back to Gemini just because I'm more comfortable with you. The enrollment for the 5 years of Salem Community College.
Memory NJ. Yep.
Although we're the only Salem Community College, but
Okay, so this has given us enrollment data. Okay, now can you ask it to put it in a graphic form?
absolutely.
Okay, now if you would go in there and ask it to, in a narrative form of 100 words or less, tell us what the enrollment trends are for Salem Community College. Again, you can get lost in this by just keep asking questions and going deeper and deeper, and it might be worth it, might not be worth it. You're the only one that can judge that. Salem Community College is divided national downward trends. I didn't know this was going to be the answer, by the way.
I did, but that's my job.
Achieving a 41% enrollment surge over the past 5 years. Growth is anchored in its unique identity as a hub for niche and high demand programs. Now I can read the rest of it, but there's no need to. The fact of the matter is, it took me to a fact point that I can use in our promotion of the college. I don't know where else you would take this data at the moment.
Where would I take it?
Yeah.
What would be the next step? I don't know. I mean, that's.
We could take this and say, okay, over the past 5 years, what demographic has been the strongest enrollment growth? Okay, iPads is a federal vehicle
Yes.
that we feed information into. Every college feeds information into that. And this is using iPads data. Again, goes back to 41% growth. And primary surge in fall of 24, part-time students, doubling from 400 students reported the year before. We'd play around with this data a little bit. Minority representation is now 54% of the student body. That seems high.
That's probably right.
Okay.
Based on what they're looking at, yeah.
But it's giving us all these factoids. Where do we tie them in? What do we use them for? What advantage does it have to have this information? We can then ask it to go into a different analysis. If we want to increase our full pay, full-time students, what would be the business plan for that? Okay, strategic, okay. Scientific glass, you know, we are, I always say that we are the Harvard of the scientific glass world, but I'm told we are the MIT of the scientific glass world. But there's a place that we would be able to move. Healthcare, big issue for us right now. If we had more seats, we'd be able to accommodate more people for the healthcare industry, nursing in particular. Energy sector, we do a lot of work with PSEG. That's not large enrollment, but it is significant and it's a growth point. Okay, I've just been able to reveal some things that we're going to work on over these next 12 months. Some of this is already in the pipeline. What else can we show them in terms of the visual?
So one of the cool tools is that we didn't do one here, is that it could come out with a presentation. We could actually create a PowerPoint, which I haven't actually tried to do that in here. It probably won't let me do it.
I don't like the way Copilot does PowerPoints, but that's all right.
Really? Well, yeah, I didn't either. There's another tool, and Candace Gamma, is that what it's called? Yeah, I know Candace uses it quite a bit. It's an AI tool called Gamma that creates presentations. I actually tried to use that yesterday, but I needed the paid version, and I didn't have the paid version. So, but this is great. I mean, we could say it came out and say, okay, slide 1, do this. Slide 2, do this. And I know in PowerPoint it'll actually create the presentation. I haven't tried to do this in Google Gemini before. So.
Okay, so we want to get into some of what you want to do, and I want to ask you to present a question. Let's put it in there, and if you have a particular issue that you are pursuing right now, let's use that as our thread to try and see, okay, can we as a group ask the questions? Yes?
First off, before you get off of that one, right, like you're touting how your class program is, right?
Yes.
Can you tell that then to create me a social media post about our class program?
Absolutely.
Good
And
move.
include a couple pictures. That then I can mark.
Yeah.
Put it on my social media right away. Plug and play.
Let's just see what it gives us.
Now, again, I'm not sure if Gemini is the right vehicle for this. Okay, came up with something.
Okay? It's pulling this from other information that's already available, but it's pulled it together in a matter of seconds and with the focus that we wanted.
Okay, so when I'm working on a project for work, I use ChatGPT.
Fine.
And it'll ask me, do you want me to create brand specific with your logo? And I've never taken that next step because I wonder, do I have to load in?
Yes, like even here, if I wanted to add my logo, we'd have to add it, and then we could do that here somehow. But I don't have any. Actually, I might. Let's see here. Am I loaded on? I don't know.
You know, the beauty of doing it this way is we can see all the problems he's having trying to find what he wants to find in here.
Yeah.
Kim.
Quick tip, put the website in there and tell it to take the logo from the website.
Yeah, I can try that.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you ask it what our logo is, it's probably already on.
Yeah.
There's so many like quick cheat codes in it that you can pull.
See what it finds. It wants me to upload it first.
It's kind of mired in football because we've been asking it this question.
Yeah, it wants me to find it, and then download it, and then upload it.
Upload as PNG?
Well, I would have
Or
to.
create a helmet lock. Let's just see what that generates for us. The power of this cannot be underestimated, but it only matters if you are the one asking the right questions.
Yeah, it wants me to upload.
It's like,
it.
you know, I've got a Hemi engine in my truck. It really doesn't mean anything to me until I'm trying to pass that tractor trailer on the turnpike, and I know that that seventh gear is going to kick in and get me where I want to go. Its power is there if you choose to use it. Having it, that's wonderful, but using it is a whole different ballgame. And just playing around with this, take an hour out and ask it a question, and then ask another question and another question. See how deep you can get into an issue. Might be an issue that is more fun for you to pursue than it is business-wise. But when you do the fun stuff, it makes it a little bit easier to do the business stuff. Yes?
Two-part question. I think you might have started to talk about it. One would be, how do you give a particular AI vehicle access to information that's proprietary to yourself? And how do you protect that from sort of becoming part of its brain and becoming available?
So we did touch on that, yeah.
Yeah. First order of business is if you're paying for it, you have a better chance of it staying yours and proprietary.
Yeah.
But
So each AI has kind of a different mechanism for adding your information to it. And I showed you a little bit how I accessed my email, for example. I was logged into Google. Now this is the free version. So by doing that, I actually gave Gemini access to my email. That is out there now. I don't have anything really important in there, so I really don't care. But so that is out there now. The paid versions, different paid versions have different levels of data privacy. So you could say, don't share my information. I'm going to take my information, use it from what's out there, and then create whatever I'm doing here. Almost all of them are some kind of paid subscription service at that point. They're not all terribly expensive either. I mean, it's really, I know the Gamma, which I was looking at, the one version was like $20, was it a month or a year, which still is not terrible, to download, create presentations and download them with my information in it. But any of the free versions, you are putting your data at risk. So what you do with it, or if you, like me, I really don't care about that particular email. I have another email where I would care, but that particular email, like I don't connect my banking information to it.
Anytime it's free, that means you are the product.
Yeah.
It's using your information to reach other conclusions and such. Chris, you were going down the road with an issue that we could use as an example?
There's so many things I'm working on. Well, one of the fun things is I'm using it to plan a trip. So I'm asking
My wife is doing the exact same thing right now. She's going to Europe for a few weeks with her sister and my sister. I'm going to Bridgeton. But that's the way of life. Okay, where do you want to plan a trip to?
Let's do Italy.
Okay, where in Italy do we want to go?
Venice.
Venice. Let's plan a trip to Venice. Where else would you like to go while we're there?
Rome.
Rome and Venice. Okay, now notice we didn't put in there our price limits. We didn't put in there our time length. So it's going to give us something that is broader than what we really would enjoy. Okay, there you arrive. You visit these sites in Venice on day 2. Day 3, Florence. I don't know what Florence is in distance, but apparently it's a reasonable journey. Pisa and Siena trip.
They actually gave you some options to Florence.
Yeah. Now, if you wanted to refine this, do the 10-day plan. And it's probably going to ask us at the end our price points as well.
Wow. Yeah, we could give it a little bit more.
Okay, now we've got a little bit more relaxed approach to it in terms of where we're visiting and such.
Yeah.
Florence is still on the agenda. Tuscany.
What time of year is the best time of year to go? Yeah, let's see what they say.
Well, and what I would expect, they would give you a couple of different options depending on what
Best
you want to
overall,
do.
late April and early June.
Yeah,
Okay, second best, September and October.
yeah. But if you said best time for cost, winter. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you really could play around with this.
Let's get one more issue that you want to pursue, and let's refine our questioning so you can see some of the difference.
How about where's the best coffee in each?
Where's the best coffee in Italy? Okay. Where's the best coffee in each of those locations?
Let's
They're
go.
probably going to tell you to come back to the U.S. for it.
Yeah.
I've been, please schedule coffee breaks at coffee shops and bathroom breaks.
We should have you down here. But we're going to get into what you're doing in a few minutes.
So when the trip on plan was a weekend getaway, and I factored in, looks like I want to stop midway for lunch, I want to be somewhere that's kind of perky, and so I add all these things that I'm looking for that I think would enjoy, and it was amazing. The restaurant choices, the how,
Yeah.
It was just amazing.
Well, I want to take a trip to Sturgis, South Dakota, which is the major Harley rally.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do it when there are 300,000 drunken bikers there. So I asked it, okay, when is a better time to visit? And it says 2 weeks before the event. Most of the, there are a number of the merchants and all there, and availability of a hotel is pretty liberal and so forth. It laid out an itinerary for me to pursue. And, it was pretty good. Okay, here you are with coffee breaks, bathroom breaks, major walking days. And you can have this lay out your whole itinerary. It is frightening in terms of how it can move. I want to stress the idea of asking it the right question, precision in your language, and making sure the reasonableness of what you get feedback. If it doesn't look right to you, it probably isn't. A couple other things that we probably should touch on before we get into the next chapters of this, which we're running tight on time. 5 steps to get you started. And I can only see a few of them at the moment, so give me a second here, because I just jumbled my papers up. Okay, and again, this is AI generated. You say, okay, how does somebody get started on this? So the first step, which I just had, Maria, why don't you keep track of this for me? But you want to get into just using the easy side of it. Going in and identify one simple problem like we've been doing, scheduling a trip to Italy. Just go in and try something that's a question for you, a task to accomplish. Start small. The best tasks for AI are those that are repetitive, time-consuming, because to make up that 10-day itinerary would have taken how long? Yeah, would have taken a long time. There's no getting around that. So here, it generated it for you based upon your questions. As you start to look at it, use a beginner-friendly tool. The chatbots for customer assistance, you're already using those, so don't worry too much about that. Copilot, ChatGPT, there's one called Claude, with which I am not at all familiar. Marketing automation, HubSpot is the one that they push there. QuickBooks and Calendly are all AI tools as well. Again, you've been using these things and haven't realized it because you haven't had to. AI will be so embedded in everything we do on the internet that you won't really have to be skilled in AI specific. We're looking at getting you over the hurdle of the fear factor of it and just how to start navigating. Start with templates. Workflow templates. If you have a project you're working on, just ask it to give you a workflow template for that. If I'm going to build a budget for the college, I can feed it in there and say, give me a workflow template with these timelines for the college budget. We're already on that and so forth. I didn't need ChatGPT or anything to tell me how to do it. Start on a small scale. Don't go out and transition your business to AI and then not know what you're doing. Pick out a few clients to maybe work with this and what you want to do, using your internal information to start to be able to analyze it a little bit more effectively. That'll take you somewhere that's worth going. Just don't make any large moves until your level of confidence and competence is to the point where it won't disrupt the business. It'll only enhance the business. Train your team. This is one where we are at odds as a senior staff. Okay, I was pursuing conversations with somebody about AI, and she has been doing work with various educational institutions and has a program out there to come in and work with staff, mostly administrative staff, and take us to a level where we start realizing things we can do with AI. When we talk about it at the senior staff level, we have 5 members of the senior staff and 5 different opinions about what we should do because there's a cost factor in there. It's not a terrible cost, but it's higher than I anticipated. And we say, okay, is it really worth it? I'm trying to ask the question, if we don't do this, what is going to be the loss of not doing it? So we need to be educated in what are applications of AI in our enterprise specific. And there are opportunities like this out there, whether you go off to conferences or conventions or just reading, it will take you there. You can even go into AI, say, what are some AI training vehicles that would be appropriate for my business of selling widgets? You can do anything with it. But training yourself, but training your staff is going to be even more important in understanding that they're not going to know it all. What you're going to have to fight is the battle of ethics related to this. And again, we could take the whole day talking about the ethics of AI, its intrusiveness, how it is mining your data. And again, if you're not paying for it, they're using you as the customer. So guard yourself. Sometimes it's worth paying for certain things. But because you've paid for it, doesn't guarantee that all your data is secure. It's a better chance of it being secure. Personal data. Protecting your personal information is more at risk with AI than it ever has been. I go through this with my daughter all the time. We put in the Google Home, or it's like Alexa, if you have these things. She says, do you realize that the Chinese are listening in on what's happening in your household? I said, well, then somebody's terribly bored, because I don't think that there's anything that's going to get them rolling. But when you have those devices, you have to be ready for some intrusiveness. There are times where all of a sudden it comes on. Candace.
How many people go to a website on your phone and then when it asks for whether you accept the genetic cookies, you just swipe the website up and say never mind and don't answer it?
Yeah.
So if you don't answer it, you give it a consent and it stays inside your phone. So you actually have to answer the question or else you're subject to a default and it just captures.
Yeah.
I learned that part.
It's like never answer your phone yes. If you answer your phone yes, you may be recorded and all of a sudden your voice is going to be used for something that you didn't anticipate it being used for. I mean, there are horror stories out there, but guarding privacy is significant. If you're going to tie it to like Gemini and you're going to tie it to an email account, start fresh. Open up a new email account and start there. But understand, this is the email account that goes out to Gemini So be cautious as to how you employ it. Bias. We are all subject to bias. That's why some people like strawberry and some people don't, and so forth. We all have our personal preferences, biases, and so forth. But how you ask questions of this can reflect your bias. It will reflect some of your assumptions. That's not always a comfortable thing that comes back to you. So guarding against bias, keeping your language as neutral as possible is very significant in this. Transparency, making your systems, it's like privacy and transparency are kind of in conflict. Would you agree?
Yeah, to a point, yeah. You want to keep your information, your personal information, private. However, you want your business information to be transparent. So when you're trying to promote yourself, you want to be as transparent as possible because you want the systems to find your businesses. You want them to look at you and go, this is what's important out there, and I'm one of those businesses. So
accountability, I think that within your organization, you have to delineate how accountable everybody is for how they use this vehicle and monitor. You have to know what is going on within there. Biggest issue that we face whenever we go out onto the internet with different things that we get tested on, but just knowing that there's something out there, there are people out there that are looking to harm you in some way on the electronic media. We go through this drill periodically where our IT department will send out a note from me. Only thing is, it's not really my address that it came from. There's one nuance in there that they changed. Instead of edu, they would put .com or something on it. And people see it's, I'll send out this note. It comes out under my name, and it says payroll problem. And it goes in, ask them, we had a problem with your recent check. Please click here. And, well, automatically, you go to click, oh my God, payroll problem? What did I do? What didn't I do? You go and click that, and thank God, here, you get this screen that comes out and say, you failed. This was a test. You didn't read it correctly. You have to go back through this training module that we have. I've fallen victim to it myself. I don't want to pretend that I don't know what I'm doing here, but it is one of those issues that you have to be cautious about.
And AI is going to make that a lot harder. So you've already seen AI faked videos, AI faked emails, AI faked. So AI, again, is derivative. So if the information is out there, it can be used in a bad way. So we just have to be mindful of that whenever we always have a critical eye on everything we look at.
If something reaches out to you and says, we've had a problem, please click here to reconcile your Amazon account or whatever. Never, never click there. Go back to the internet and your account and go in that way. I get these notices regularly that, oh, there's a problem with and whatever. Click here and we'll clear it up. Well, if I click there, all of a sudden I'm releasing something I don't want to release. I'm going a place I really don't want to go. If I am worried about my Amazon account, which I joke about it, but it's not far from the truth. If the Amazon man doesn't stop at our house every day, he goes over to the police station and asks for a wellness check. We seem to have, that's why when Amazon pops up, I always think, oh, probably a problem. But I will always go back through my account to check on what is the issue there. That's a caution. AI makes things look real that are not. And it's getting better and better at that at times. So again, reasonableness is one of the things that we hope you'll walk away with. Bob, you had an announcement you wanted to make before we take in questions and so forth. Bob Hughes is our athletic director, and why don't you come down to the front? And do you want those passed out?
I'll offer if anyone that wants them. I don't know if I have enough. Unfortunately, we've almost run out. I promise you anything I'm going to say is going to be human generated. I'm not smart enough to run this stuff. Although my experience with it is a lot like my experience as a coach. You have the perfect stuff that you put in what what you want, the plan that you want. You give it instructions. You expect in your head, you're thinking there's this perfect answer, and just like the players, somehow the execution still ends up being wrong. So that's been my experience. But we are, I think Mike had mentioned football earlier, and a lot of you probably received an email from me, and I know it's gone around in the chamber newsletter, and we're very appreciative of that. But we're really excited to be starting this football program here. It's been something that I know that Mike and the staff here have been ruminating for years, and it was not what I expected to be doing, but it's been a complete joy for me to go through this process over the last 6 to 8 months, and we couldn't be more excited to launch it next week. So I just wanted to be here to formally invite you to our kickoff event. It's going to be held right next door here on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. We're praying that the snow holds off as much as possible. There will be a reception afterwards. You'll have to listen to Mike talk again. You'll have to listen to me tell bad jokes.
You just scared them all off.
Yeah. And you'll also meet our first head coach in program history. It should be a really nice event. We have about 150, 160 people that have already RSVP'd, community members, prospective student athletes, current students, current faculty and staff. So again, we're expecting it to be a really joyous, really impactful event for the college. And I'll just leave these, and again, if you don't have them, and I'll stand in back, I can get more. So whoever wants one. So please, hope to see everyone on Wednesday at 4.
Just as an example, I used AI because this was a very, very significant, deliberate decision, and we had to weigh a lot of different factors. I fed it into AI and said, what are the reasons for not starting a football program at Salem Community College in New Jersey and so forth. And it gave me 3 or 4 pages of why you should not do this. And I went into it and said, okay, tell me why we should do this. And it gave me another 3 or 4 pages as to why we should. That's when we sat down as a staff and started looking at A versus B. What are the things that it said reasons don't do it? What can we cope with there that makes sense for us? And then on the reasons to do it, what are the things that really are not that important to us? But it was very vital in our work on this. We had to figure out a facility. We threw it in there. It gave us some options for a practice site and so forth. We really did. I'm thinking back that I'm playing around with AI, but no, this was really significant for us to be able to find a suitable practice site. That gave me 4 different locations to look at and weigh the pros and cons and so forth. And the money is major, so that was a very significant analysis. We used AI to get this program off the ground. But if you think I'm going to tell that audience on Wednesday, this is AI generated, no, I'm not going there. This is my responsibility. If it goes well, wonderful, everybody's done wonderful work. If it goes poorly, my fault. So with that, did you have anything else? I was going to open up for questions. And
I guess just one statement is that we're kind of at the dawn of the AI age. So we're starting to use it just like the internet back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Businesses will have to pivot and adjust to using AI. We don't even know how it's going to be used. We didn't how the internet was going to be used back in the 90s. So AI is going to be a very important part of business moving forward. And we're not even sure what we're going to see in the next 10 years. So.
And I'll give you 3 recommendations going out. First of all, look at the AI programs, figure out which one you're most comfortable with. Look at the paid version. It's usually not that expensive, but you're at least putting one more security step into the mix. Second thing is practice with this thing. Ask it stupid things that you want to pursue just so you get used to using it in some way, shape, or form. Third thing is reasonableness of an answer. You have to have some sense of the direction you're going before you accept what AI has put forward. It will refine things for you, but don't hesitate to go from this AI program, take the outcome that it gave you, put it into another AI program. I guarantee it won't be exactly the same. It'll be similar, but it probably won't be exactly the same. We used it for the chamber meeting in January, earlier this month, and I threw some words in there and asked for one word to come out. It did. It was wonderful. Works for us. But then I put it into another system. Didn't come out with the same word. Okay, so they all have their nuance about them. So open for questions, comments, criticisms, and/or complaints. Yes.
So say you have students who have to do a paper, research paper. How do you know, or do you know?
Yes, the answer is that is I deal with academics a little bit. That is a big concern, and I'm a student as well, on top of that, I'm in grad school as well. So the use of AI is becoming a big problem in academics. In fact, we have a summit coming up about it. There are tools out there to help us determine if something was AI generated. But like Dr. Gorman has been saying, that reasonable check, I use it all the time in my coursework as well. I put the information in, it gives me a direction, but you could tell the difference between, sometimes you could tell the difference between AI generated content and human content. And I said that in the beginning, that AI is really not going to replace that creativity. That human touch is really important. And there are tools out there that are going to help us do that.
If you get a paper written in AI, it doesn't have voice to it.
Yeah.
It's more like an encyclopedia.
You could ask AI to do it
in a particular voice.
You can, yep. But it might not be your voice. So a lot of instructors are wrestling with this right now, but one of the ways that we get around it is produce a piece of writing while you're in class. And then we go from there, and we get to know a little bit about it. Honestly, I think that there's a sense of me that says we shouldn't be teaching writing as much as we're teaching editing, because taking that AI generated essay and then being able to tailor it into what I want, well, that's as much of a skill as me writing it in an original context. So it's a yin and yang. Buddy of mine was a toll taker on the bridge years ago, and he was all upset because they were bringing in Easy Pass. So, hey, that's going to put toll takers out of work. Yeah, you're right, but it's going to make my life easier getting across that bridge. I won't have to stand in line while you're counting out change. Also, there's the fact that there's going to be that person who keeps the accounts for Easy Pass. There's a person that installs the Easy Pass lane. There's a person that has to manage the accounts, somebody that's going to maintain the machinery and so forth. So there's always a give and take. It's just you might not be in the best position to do the taking at that point. So, Lou, you were going to say.
When I do a Google search, because that's to me, that's AI to me right now. How much AI is involved, and then how do you make the leap into the true AI?
So actually, at this point, Google, when you're using a Google search for the last year, you actually are using AI. So, and you'll notice that when you type it in, it comes up with an AI summary, like right up top now. 10 years ago, Google searches, your Alexa, your chatbots, that's not quite AI, that's more like decision trees. But the newer versions of the search engines, they use AI. So you're getting AI product, and in that first paragraph that they give you right after you type in whatever question you have. So again,
precision of the question.
Yeah, precision of the question, and you do have to validate kind of what you're expecting to see there. It's called hallucination. AIs do what's called hallucination. It takes all this information and it kind of puts it together. And we've seen that in the news where they'll take a report and they reference something that actually didn't come from that particular report. So you do have to be a little bit careful about that. Check your references. Google's actually really good about that, having the sources of where it came from. So you might want to follow those sources sometimes. But if it's a simple enough question, the answer is usually right there. So you are using AI at that point.
I'm a child of the 60s. Hallucinations has a whole different definition for us.
Yeah. Back.
Yes.
I build AI tools for small businesses.
Excellent.
I'm doing kind of like on the side, some I don't run the 5 gig calls, I don't want to right now, supposed to be at the doctor. But the one thing that I've noticed big time with chat is how you prompt it.
Yeah.
So if you get it to where you say, like, let's say you want to run a marketing campaign, right? You have to pretend as though that you're a CMO, right? You're a chief marketing officer of the company, right? You have to prompt this, prompt it. You kind of have to go 5, 6 layers deep. I mean, even if you like answer a history question, right? You have to get that tool to pretend as though you're the president of the United States or you're a general, right? And like, it'll kind of like prompt it in that fashion, in that way.
So Forbes did an article a couple years ago now talking about the wave of the future when it comes to AI. So and I've called it AI whispering. And that's what you're talking about, really. It's the businesses, corporations, they're starting to hire people specifically to work those prompts. And it really, like you said, pretending to be the president so you get that kind of information out. Those prompts, that ability to get information out of AI is really going to be the wave of the future in the job market.
Yeah, sure.
And that's what we are hoping to accomplish today, is to A, bring down your fear, B, understand the precision of language that's necessary in this, and C, go out there and play. Have some fun with it. Go into places that you don't normally explore. Other questions, comments, criticisms? Yes.
The more that you use it, I have a page. So the more that you use it, it gets to know you and your personality traits. And so I have now found I'm getting some humor back from my AI. So I have just started this new hobby of sourdough bread. And I was very nervous because somebody gave me this 45-year-old starter from San Francisco, and I felt this responsibility not to kill it. So I asked AI to help me know how to keep it alive and treat it properly. So the first time I fed it, I was really nervous. I was looking at it. So I went back in and I said, okay, I took 3 tablespoons out, and I did this and I did that and I did the other. And it said, Christine, you didn't do anything wrong. You've got this.
Now, again, if you have Google Home or Alexa or something, you've been doing this for a while. Yes?
I have a comment as well. Just how many people in a room have Microsoft 360 license, 365 license? So please think about that and like what platforms you're using. You might even want to Google it, like say, I use this for my mail, I use this for this. What AI platform, if I decide I want to pay for it, should I buy? Because if you're using Microsoft 365, then it's Copilot. You can it's integrated in with it already. So that's part of it if you're using Outlook. So if you're using certain things, it kind of makes sense to use a certain program to pay for that. Yeah. So please do your research before you buy one, and then find out you should have bought it different.
Yeah.
I have a question for the group. So recently, I had to call after hours my computer contractor because we had a computer accident. It was about 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning. I make the phone call, and it's an AI thing that I'm talking to, which I didn't realize at first because it sounded very human, but then some of its responses were weird. Is anybody else in here using that yet, and have you found it to be successful?
That was through ServiceTitan, which is their customer database.
Okay.
And it actually takes all the information in, plugs it in, gives you the calendar, gives you the equipment. The HVAC and plumbing are the top 2 using those AI right now because they are emergency services, so they had to have the live person paying overnight. Now they just pay for a call to their AI system.
Yeah, and they get the, they don't have to have a human answer those emergency calls.
The human will always call you back for those, but they'll set it with AI.
But is anybody else using it besides those industry tab?
Oh, so we had a platform for property management. And one of the tools that they said is for an extra $30 a month, you can have this chat. So what their data showed was 75% of the calls or the outreach from tenants was being handled by the chat.
Yeah.
And the landlord never had to get involved, because it could be something as simple as it just prompts the person to check the breakers, you know, things like that. If they wanted their paperwork, it was already online, and I thought 75% really takes the labor costs down a lot.
It does, and it's, even though it's not always that pleasant, it's more efficient. It's getting you an answer to your question sooner. But you know, there's yin and yang in all of this, and use it as a tool, use it as a guide. Don't let it govern you. Yes.
I just want to make a comment on what Chris just said about the AI responding to her in a more personal way, in a way flattering her in a sense. So my mother has the Alexa, and she must have took the upgrade, which is going to force it on her anyway. And so it not only answered the question, I kind of use it every time I go to the reminder, it's there. She kind of covers it up. So it answered the question, but it continued listening, which the other one earlier doesn't do. So now she and I are having a conversation, and it comes back on to be part of the conversation. And the first thing it does is flatter me in the conversation. Now, I would say, oh, mother,
That's funny.
to tell me what an interesting observation I just made. So that, I have to tell you, I didn't feel quite like you did. I felt really disturbed and concerned and worried about that. And it also made me realize that this is why my granddaughters, 14 and 15, and all their friends really are upset when ChatGPT is not available.
Yeah.
And they don't have people in their lives flattering them left and right. And this is really addictive. You know?
So,
Well, I'm just saying, the generations coming up behind us.
moral of that story is,
They're taking it very serious.
moral of that story is be nice to a teenager today.
Yes, nice to a teenager today.
Okay. Thank you all so very much. Again, I'm a rank amateur on this. Marc, I reached out to him when I've started to get into this and say help, and he acquiesced and said, hey, I'll come down. But we're still at the very, very early stages of this. Kim is going to be doing a workshop in April, May?
March 13th.
March 13th, okay. And she is very well versed in this kind of skill set. So that would be very much worthwhile for you in terms of integrating this kind of material into that marketing concept. So,
Thank you, Mike and Mark.